Hi everyone, it's Dot, and tonight I'm starting the process of making a delicious Peruvian chicken. It absolutely tastes phenomenal if you've never had it before. Trust me, it's something you want to do. It comes from this book, or I should say it's inspired by this book, Nom Nom Paleo. This has delicious recipes in it. I've pulled a few of them out of it before, and I definitely encourage you to take a look at this book if you haven't already. But I did make a few changes to this dish simply because paleo, while it's very healthy eating, it isn't always low carb and high in fat. So with that, let's go ahead and get my little fine feathered friend here, or formerly feathered friend, ready to go. With the bird positioned as shown, cut along one side of the spine using a pair of good kitchen shears. You don't want to try this with normal scissors. Next, cut along the other side. Your shears should be right up against the spine to avoid any waste. When you get to the end, the spine comes away easily. Now locate the beginning of the breastbone, right where I'm touching. It's a small piece of white cartilage. Make a cut about 1/4 of an inch, and the breastbone will pop through. Then press both sides of the chicken down until the bird is perfectly flat. As Michelle Tan would say, you may now flip the bird. And with that, you're all done. Oh yeah, you can take the spine you cut away and use it for soup stock. Waste not, want not. Chicken's all spatchcocked and ready to go. Let's go ahead and start on the marinade. I'm going to first add my spices. I'm using a smoked paprika, dried oregano, black pepper, kosher salt, and cumin. In it goes. Minced garlic, zest of 1 lime, and the zest of the lime gives it a much more intense lime flavor. You definitely want to use that. Now keep in mind, before you zest your lime, you want to make sure you've washed it and it doesn't have a waxy buildup either. And as you know, of course, you want to make sure you zest the lime with a plane before you juice the lime. That's pretty important. Next up, the juice of the lime that you've just zested, and ghee. Now, you don't have to just use ghee. You can certainly use soft butter. You can also use duck fat or whatever fat you prefer, even olive oil if you'd like. This ghee is a little more liquidy than normal, and it's only because it's been hot in my kitchen. But the nice thing about ghee, and when you use your fat, it turns it into basically a paste, which is what you want because it makes it easier to spread all over your chicken. And by the way, the little juicer that I showed, it is absolutely wonderful. It's much better than my hand press, and we have it available on our Amazon store if you want to check it out, and the link is just down below. Now we're going to coat the chicken in the paste we just made. What you want to do is loosen up the skin without tearing it off the bird. So actually I'm going to start from the breast down and work my way down, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to turn this a little bit, and all you're going to do is work your finger in there, and you're basically creating a pocket so that you can spread the marinade in there. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of the spice and seasoning that I just made, the marinade, and I'm just going to rub it underneath the skin. It's also going to go over the skin too, but you really want to address underneath the skin. You want it to touch the meat. This is the way I would get to the thigh, is just go underneath the bottom of the breast and work my way towards the thigh and just breaking up the little membrane that holds the skin to the actual meat. As you can see, I've got over here. You just want to be careful because you don't want to rip this too much. You're going to have a little bit of rippage. And then I made a little bit halfway, so I'm going to go ahead and start shoving and rubbing the marinade as I go. Wings are really, really hard, and if you can't do it, that's fine. I got in a little bit over here. I don't want to rip too much, so I'm just going to put some flavoring in here. But again, like I said, I don't want to really rip the skin. As you can see, the outside of it is pretty covered from me grabbing it with my little paws, but I've got sauce left over, and so now we're really going to rub it into the skin itself. And you want to rub both sides of the chicken, not just the breast side. All you do now is I'm going to marinate it overnight, but I need to cover it first before it goes into the refrigerator. And I should say with the marinade, you can leave it on for as little as 2 hours, but when you leave it on overnight, something magical just happens to the flavor. Chicken's out of the refrigerator. I let it marinate for about 18 hours roughly. You can marinate it for up to 24 hours before it's got to go in the oven. So I'm letting it sit out for about an hour. I want it to come up to as close to room temperature as possible. And what I did, I took it out of the normal baking dish that I probably would have cooked it in. Instead, I'm using a rimmed baking sheet that is covered in tinfoil, and I have it sitting on a rack. What I'm doing now is I'm starting on my green sauce I'm going to have go with the chicken. So I'm heating up some olive oil right now, and I'm going to go ahead and add in some garlic. And I'm using extra virgin olive oil. I normally don't heat that up, but I'm doing it because the recipe calls for it. I am making a couple of tweaks to the recipe, and I'll let you know what that is in the recipe below. But I'm just going to do this until it's fragrant, which is now. It is that quick. Taking it off heat, and now we're going to start making everything else. I have all my ingredients set up ready to go, except for one, which is this big old bad boy, which is a hatch pepper. Michelle Tam's recipe calls for 3 jalapeno peppers. 1 hatch pepper will basically substitute for 3 jalapenos easily. These are basically also Anaheim peppers, which are out of California. But hatch peppers, they get their own special name because they're from Hatch, New Mexico. But what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to cut off the stem. Always have your gloves on when you're dealing with peppers. I'm going to cut off, I have a little bit of a bruised part down here, and I'm just going to cut it open. I'm going to take out the seeds because I don't want a whole lot. I want some heat. Hatch peppers can be really super hot, so you have to be careful. I'm going to have very few seeds in this dish. Let's start blending our sauce. I'm going to add the peppers, mayo, and I'm using a mayo that's made from avocado oil, sour cream, a scallion, sea salt, cilantro, and the juice from a lime. Next up, I'm going to add the garlic and the olive oil together. And you want to get all of the olive oil, as much as you can, in there. All right, I already scraped down the sides. I'm going to take a little taste just to see if I need to add anything, and I suspect I'm going to add some pepper, but we'll see. That's really awesome green sauce. But I am going to just add a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. Chicken's ready to go in the oven. The oven, I preheated to 400 degrees. And what you want to make sure of is when you cook it, you want it on the upper middle rack. Now it's going to go in for about 45 minutes. All right, the chicken is done cooking. I let it rest for about 10 minutes. Basically what you do, you just break apart a whole chicken like you normally would, which is take off the thighs and the legs, take off the wings, and take off the breasts separately. But what I'm going to do right here, you don't need to necessarily see that. I'm going to cut off a little piece of meat, and it looks great. There it is. It's all done. And I'm just going to go ahead and dip a little bit in a sauce. You just want to pour the sauce on it. And here we go. Flavors are amazing. Lovely hint of lime in there. It's very subtle, but it's wonderful. It has a nice little crusty feel to the skin, which I love, which is what I wanted thanks to the seasoning. But at the same time, not one seasoning dominates out of the others. It's a perfect blend of seasonings, which is just awesome. But it also has the chicken itself is very tender, juicy. It's so much better than regular day-to-day chicken that you may make in your kitchen. And the sauce, I have to say this, adding this sauce not only adds a great amount of lovely fat to your dish, because chicken is very lean, but it makes it very creamy. It's a lovely mouthfeel, and I really hope you give this a try. If you enjoyed the video, hit like, subscribe, and definitely share with your friends. And until next time, I'll see ya.